Hello, and welcome to another stream of ohmTown. I am Mayor Watt, and I'm the mayor of ohmTown. And when I'm on Twitch, I stream as ohmTown, and when I'm not streaming as ohmTown, I cruise around Twitch as Mayor Watt. And so I might be in a channel somewhere hanging out and chatting it up, but don't follow me there. If you do, you'll see that you'll be redirected over to ohmTown. And I want you to follow me at ohmTown. So twitch.tv/ohmTown. It might sound confusing, but the objective is to not promote myself when, or I should say not promote ohmTown when I'm in somebody else's channel. No, it sounds weird, but it's not. I'm just not one to kind of pump my channel up when I'm hanging out in somebody else's channel. I don't know. Maybe it's weird. Now, if I am chatting it up and somebody asks what I'm the mayor of, I might say, hey, I'm the mayor of ohmTown. But for now, we'll let this go the way that it's going. So it is January 6th here where I am. And I stream from 6 until 7, 7:30, 8 maybe. It really depends on how I'm feeling about the news and information that we talk about. What ohmTown.com is ingesting at any given moment. Hey, how are you? Welcome. Any topics of interest that have caught my eye recently? Yeah, a lot actually. And it's one of those things that when I talk about in my stream, we all suffer from information overload, right? So we have to filter out what is important, and I don't like to plan my streams. So I riff off of those who are in my chat. So I appreciate you making a comment, and thank you very much. I'll have to make it up to you if you come to the next stream. I'll give you a subscription because it's the first time I've seen you in here. It's the first time you've made a post in my chat, and so I really appreciate you asking that question. So if you notice that, it's that way. All that over there, that's all stuff that a site that I built ingests. And I'm not sure if you've seen my previous VODs, but I used to use this site, ohmTown.com, as a news aggregation site, but only for myself. And then I showed it to a couple of people and they were like, this is pretty cool. It's not like overwhelmingly ingesting information like other sites. There are other sites where there's so much massive amount of information that you're almost in an untenable position about what information you're getting. And so what I've done for myself is created this site so that I could filter through it. And it's in areas of interest that I have that I think others might have. And it evolves over time and changes. And so these are the categories. To answer your question in a long-winded, elaborate way, these are the areas of interest, and all of them have topics bound within them. And it all gets funneled into kind of like a news feed. And much like my brain, it's a stream of consciousness. And so without a doubt, all of this is interesting to me. And so if you go over to ohmTown.com and you actually find a topic that you are interested in talking about, I'm more than willing to vamp. I don't like sticking to a storyline. It's just some of the things that I am interested in. So what are some of the filters that I use to curate the information that I aggregate? Well, in all honesty, the way that it works is I am interested in, I'll just go through this list real quick with you. So the create category contains various sources of news. And if the publisher of the news is on topic, I ingest it. So if it is a site that I have reviewed in the past, spoken to somebody about, gone to, and I value that particular source, then I start ingesting it. And I only take a little snippet of it, and that allows me to go over to the site and read it. And it's kind of treated like an RSS feed, except I've opened it up now to the public. And so this particular group, if you click on the link, you get taken to the little subgroup within ohmTown. And from there, you click on discussions. You can actually get to it by other means, like clicking on the Breaking Prose tag. And then inside this, it has a bunch of articles. And then when you click on that article, like what is a metaphor, it takes you to a snippet of the article, and then you can go to the source. And I always tell everybody in my stream, on my VODs, I don't want you to assume that all of the information is right here. I want you to click that link, and it'll take you over to the website itself, and then you can read the rest of the article, because all I'm grabbing is a little snippet. So I want to promote the site and the writer and their hard work, and not just kind of gobble up information. And that's what I do personally, right? So why shouldn't I promote it on the site that I'm trying to develop? And so I read the material, and then I ask that people come back, and they either vote it up or vote it down as being valuable. And that vote tells other people, hey, this is actually pretty interesting. And there's always conversation that can take place underneath it. Now, like I said, it's brand new. I opened it up to the public late last year, and I've been changing it since. And actually, I've reset it a couple of times. But as of January 1st, I opened it up, and I'm not making any fundamental changes to the site itself. And so if you sign up, you can actually start posting things in here. And yeah, actually, that's exactly what it is. So it's called ohmTown because it's a bit of resistance in the net. It's a community bound within the electrons of the flow of information and the flow of electricity. And it's just kind of a riff off of this virtual existence that we tend to be in. The only reason why you know that I am a human being is because I'm streaming and on camera. With machine learning and artificial intelligence and a little bit of programming, a very sophisticated virtual presence could exist. And that's why I created one of the things called Reality Hacker right here, which found its origin in an interaction with a friend of mine who does 3D modeling and started 30 years ago. I may act like I'm younger than I really am, but I interacted with my friend in such a way that he became very interested in 3D modeling and ended up taking photographs and then compositing his own creations into pictures. And that made me think of hacking reality. And then over the years, I've seen movies and role-playing games that riff off of this idea of a virtual existence. And then you get into books like Ready Player One, Ready Player Two. And you end up with the catchphrase for reality hacker, which is you won't know who to trust, which in and of itself is a phrase from Sneakers. If you've never seen that movie, Sneakers, it's an older movie in the grand scheme of things, but it's a great watch. So yeah, we are as a community in this little abstract field of resistance in the line of electrons that flow around the omniverse. I guess I can just make it more and more fantastical as I talk. But so I go by Mayor Watt throughout the site, and as I surf Twitch and other places. But my full name, just to really lean into ohmTown, is Omer Watt. But I just go by Mayor Watt. And I love the idea of short stories and writing little blurbs and promoting people who write. And that's why Breaking Prose came into existence, right? Sound pretty neat? And because of all of my interests, I had to figure out a way to solve this need to consume information. And it makes me somewhat scatterbrained, and it makes me kind of stream of, it's called associative thinking, where I end up starting on one topic and we end up somewhere else, but they're all interrelated. And I have this weird philosophy. Well, I don't think it's weird, but some people think that it's weird, that everything is so interconnected that you can't really do one thing without it creating kind of like a butterfly effect, where something else is impacted by your actions. And so all of these things that I have here across the top mask the chaos that is in my head. And because of that, I really talk about a little bit each day as I stream for an hour or two. And so if you have questions or if you have comments, feel free to ask them in chat. I'm happy to discuss it. And I don't have it available today, but I'm going to be making it so that I can pull people into chat, basically a real-time voice chat. And up in the window right up there, straight up, that black space up there, I will be able to throw another person up there. But I also have stuff like what do you want to call it? All of that, like top donations and stuff like that. So it's hidden right now because I don't actually have it activated. Let's see. I can relate to the associative thinking. Have you heard of the term aphantasia? How do you go about thinking? Can you visualize the things that you are thinking? I don't think that I heard the term aphantasia, but for years and years and years, the way that, my inner monologue never shuts up. Basically, I'm always thinking about something, and did my auto mod just mod you in some way? I hope it's not impacting you. I don't see anything. But let me know if there's a problem. My monologue is always going, and yes, I visualize the things that I'm thinking. And for a great number of years, I could actually, it was weird. And I say weird because it's just kind of a thing, a coping mechanism, I guess you could say. The world to me was tied to sound and color and things like that. And over the years, it's faded away as something. And so it really doesn't relate to anything anymore. But yeah, it's one of those things where to settle out the noise, I try and just consume as much as I can. Otherwise, I start thinking about things and I go down this rabbit hole. And that's again, that's how this site ended up. It's basically a coping mechanism that's turned into an idea to stream and interact with other people and consume information as I go along. And I'm going to end up gaming and stuff like that on Twitch. I'm an avid gamer. I used to beta test a lot of software all the way back before WoW started, and tabletop gaming as well. So I've always loved AD&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and let's see, what do I have within arm's reach right now? Nothing, because I've been reorganizing, trying to clean this office up. Oh, my video stopped, I think. That sucks. I have something, I changed something. Let me turn it off and on again. I changed something and it's causing problems with my, synesthesia. That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah. So it was an interesting time, and it lasted for years and years and years. And over time it faded out, and not really sure, what happened with that, but it wasn't. I was actually in a head-on collision when I was much younger. A lady hit me head-on going 80 miles an hour, and if she hadn't hit me, she would have been in a school, a Sunday school. So I treat it as I stopped something really bad from happening. But yeah, it was an interesting time after that for quite some time. But without it, I'd say that I wouldn't be the person that I am today. So, and I'm not always so kind of, I don't know, sporadic. I feel like I'm a little chaotic right now, but it's exciting. I really like this. It's a new year. I'm trying to totally stay positive and keep moving forward and not let things because it's January 6th, right? So the news, if you click on news, it's basically a January 6th all over the place. And it is, it's just frustrating to hear that kind of stuff. So, when I go through this list and I don't plan the content, I run across these little landmines of things that make me go down the rabbit hole of information. And just today, I just got done watching the Book of Boba Fett. If you don't have it and don't watch it, then you should check it out. If you don't have Apple TV or Disney Plus, sorry. If you don't have Disney Plus, it's kind of a bummer. So let's see. The spontaneity of thoughts and being a bit sporadic in terms of the direction of the conversation. For this, I just kind of riff off of what somebody might ask in chat. What I do for a living is another matter. I I consume a ton of information and then I relate it to the people that I'm speaking to. And so within the confines of that particular presentation, I stick to the information at hand unless somebody asks me a question, and then we go down that associative thinking pathway. And I continuously remind myself to go and make sure that I'm checking the time and pivoting back to the original set of discussion points. So it's easy for me to kind of see that speck of that little mote of dust floating by and then just start tracking it. And it's not necessarily a good thing for everybody, but for me and my particular audiences, it is a good thing because it allows me to give context to myriad information on numerous topics. And for the most part, I know a little bit about pretty much, I don't know, I'm 2 inches deep, a river or a lake, but 10,000 miles wide. And so I know a little about a lot, and it allows me to give context to information that is sometimes too big for the audience. And my audience ranges in age from as young as, well, yeah, I mean, it can get down into the 10-year-old age all the way up to 75, 80. And so I try and give that context, particularly on 3 topics, 3 main things, which is business, technology, and society. I kind of merge them together into discussions. And so the more I consume, the better off I am. And if I get enough time, I can focus by keeping the topics at a glance, so that I can just look at it and go, oh, okay, let's get back to the original discussion points. So other than little triggers that say, hey, get back to this topic, that's pretty much the only thing that I do. But throughout the day, like getting work done and stuff like that, I just have a whole bunch of work that I'm always doing. And sometimes I'll go, I'll work on this, or I'll work on that. But the thing that really drives me is consuming all of this information. And I've got people around me that just, they're like, how do you consume so much information? It's something has to give. And I'm like, well, no, not really. I've got all of this and I can come back to it again and again and again. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. That's why I created the site. And, that's why I started streaming, so that I could meet other people, who are interested in, a broad swath of, topics, and not necessarily just gaming, not necessarily just one thing. There's political streams, but they're focused on the politics. There are social streams, but they're focused on the social, and hyper focused, right? Like you can go into somebody else's chat and the chat is either, it's like about them. But this isn't about me. My stream is about all of this information and other people, other places, other things. I'm just acting like a conduit, a nexus point, that little bit of resistance in the line where you can focus, and interact, and not necessarily be bored. Maybe that's a leap, because there's so much. I'm still working on the entertainment side of things. I'm trying to find a way where we can watch movies together and listen to songs together and talk about the movie or talk about the song. DMCA is kind of like a battering ram that's just crushing any ideas about that type of interaction. Even though I've had licenses in the past to play music, it can't be a VOD. So that kind of hobbles the long-term viability of past performances. But talking about movies and watching them, and I thought would be beneficial, but apparently not. Actually, there's something. Let me pull it up real quick. You might hear my keyboard ticking. There is, where is it? Under history. It's called Tanami. Here, I'll go to Tanami. Right? Yeah. You might dig this. You might dig this. Well, everybody might dig this, but and that's something that I always thought was a conceptual thing, right? So you're not broadcasting it. I'm not broadcasting it. Or it's incidental. It's just something that we are using for a point of discussion, or it's something that we're using as a point of kind of making commentary about. So if we were watching, for instance, like the new Matrix movie, right? Talking about it, talking over it, talking through it, just kind of ruining the experience that you would have if you were just watching the movie. That's why you do a watch party. The whole objective is to talk through it, about it. If you want to watch it in its pristine state, you would either go to a movie theater and then rail against people who talk, or you would wait until it comes out and watch it at home and tell everybody around you to shut up. But you don't go to a watch party so that you can sit there and just sit in silence, because what's the point of the social interaction of a watch party? So I have always called it incidental. And within copyright law, within the U.S. legal structure, this incidental concept actually exists. But the problem is that if there's too much of the copyrighted work displayed or heard, it goes past it. It goes past incidental. And so, well, thank you. And that's really where it is, right? Like if I was at home and I had the movie sitting in front of me and I'm watching it and I'm sitting there doing what Riff Tracks or Mystery Science Theater 3000, right? So if I was doing that kind of stuff at home with friends or family, it's nothing. And I spent $15 on a movie, but suddenly it's the end of the world because I'm streaming it while I'm ruining the experience. And so like people get up, companies feel violated that their copyright is being I don't know, I'm going in my head, I'm thinking about all of this stuff. So if let's say I'm playing a game and it has copyrighted music, I would think that it's incidental, right? You're not coming to listen to the music. You're coming to watch me play a game, interact with me. I'm sitting there chatting with chat. And I am ruining the experience of listening to the music. But no, my entire VOD collection for a decade of streaming can be used against me and then kill my stream, my livelihood. And I'm not partner, I'm not anything, right? I'm just starting out. They truly, they feel violated, that they can't monetize what I am doing. Even though what I am using, I paid for the game. I'm using all of my own equipment and it's my time. And the people aren't coming because I'm playing good music. They're coming for the interaction and the community and actually talking about the movie or the music or the game or the whatever, right? And just to put irony on this, I actually, this right here, this group called Mixwar, I've owned the domain Mixwar. It redirects to my company site, but actually it redirects to ohmTown now. But so the whole idea for Mixwar was you can take anybody's music and mix it up and pick a fight with somebody else, and that's what I call it. But you're basically challenging somebody to take the same tracks or that same music and mix it up, and whoever creates the better mix wins by the community's vote. And then I would award a prize of some kind, whatever it might be, right? So I went and got licensed by BMI and ASCAP, and now I forgot the other one, but I had the 3 licenses, and they're like, yep, you're covered on Twitch and on YouTube, and you're good to go. And then that's when the really hard push into copyright strikes started coming out wholesale. Like, people were being shut down and losing their livelihood. And so it really stifled this, because my big project is to build a community around all of these shows. These are intended to be shows, 1 hour shows at least, 50 of them each week. And when the stream isn't streaming live, it's streaming a replay, or somebody is gaming, or somebody is just hanging out and chatting or something. But they're basically, ohmTown is always on Twitch, always online. And it isn't necessarily just me. I can't be everything everywhere all the time. Everything in moderation is really one of the things that I practice. So I would have loved to have this operational on day 1 of this launch. But the license that I had been paying for several years didn't mean anything, because a VOD could bring me down. I could do it live, but it couldn't be recorded. I couldn't store it as a VOD. The VOD would be used against me, and a strike would immediately happen, because the back end is analyzing for the music DNA, basically. And if the sound structure strikes a chord, pun not intended, then that VOD would be a copyright strike, and 3 of those and I'm out of commission. So this is on hold until something changes in the dynamic of DMCA. But I would love to have musicians, people who are good at Logic Pro, just come on board and offer up a metric ton of open source tracks. Everybody starts mixing music and making good open source music where they win prizes. And obviously, if somebody says, well, this is really good, then they can sell it, right? And people will pay for it, just like people subscribe to Twitch channels all the time. And it's because of the experience, not because of just the music, not because of just the game, not because of any one thing. It's the community and it's the streamer, and that person, right, is why you show up. It just happens to be that you might find, and I'm not saying you specifically, but you might find affinity with a group that's within ohmTown, or with my message, because the way that I talk, you go, well, yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying. It happens to me all the time. And so I'm subscribed to, I don't know how many people, something like 15 people on Twitch. And it's because of the totality, not just the music, but the music or a video is the thing that is a battering ram and just shuts down anything that, I don't know, it can't be spontaneous. You have to plan it. You have to get permission. You have to basically be authorized. Anything more than like 5 seconds, it seems, can trigger a DMCA takedown. And it's just really frustrating, because it isn't my intent to take money. But I also can't get a license that is holistic, right? Like, I can't stream music and it be a VOD. If I stream music, I'm okay. I won't get a DMCA takedown. But if it's a VOD, I have to get individual sync licenses for each song from the copyright holder, not from the clearinghouses like BMI or ASCAP. And I can't remember the third one, doggone it. But at any rate, you're done. You can't do anything with music without fear of losing your future. And you can't do anything with a video except for little snippets. And even then, if it's too long and you pop up on somebody's radar, an action can be brought against you. So unless you are rather generic about things, you really have to shy away from music. You have to shy away from videos. And that Tanami Chrome extension is interesting, because you download it, it becomes a part of Chrome. And then when I'm streaming, it allows you to connect to your library wherever it is, right? And watch the movie from HBO Max or Netflix or Crunchyroll or Disney Plus or YouTube. But it's not streaming from me. It's streaming from your account into this chat interface. And my VOD and my channel and my OBS isn't recording the audio or video stream, because that will be the violation of copyright. So it's actually pretty neat, and you might be interested in that. So Karu, the chess streamer, stream any sort of copyrighted music on the live stream, but on the VODs, it's all stripped of music. Correct. Yep. That's because Twitch and YouTube and other streaming services have a license that covers them, which is another thing about this licensing here. I'll get to it in a second. But yeah, the VOD has to have the audio stripped. I'm pretty sure when he records, he has the copyrighted music is on a different channel in his mixer. That way he can replace it with royalty-free music in the VOD. Correct. Yep. And you can do that. I mean, in OBS, it's pretty easy to just turn off that channel when you're recording it somewhere else. And I'm going to have to disable that Streamlabs. I don't even use Streamlabs, so I'm not sure why it's functioning, but I thought I had it disabled. But so one of the interesting things about the license that I had was that the license didn't follow me around. if you get in a car, you have a license, right? And you can get in somebody else's car and drive it, and the insurance may not cover you, but you have a driver's license so that you can drive somebody else's car, right? That's not how copyright works. You get a license from BMI or ASCAP, or CSAC. That's it. The other one is CSAC. So if you get this license, right, you declare where you are streaming from. But if it isn't your site, it doesn't cover you. The reason why I was covered still was because Twitch and YouTube have their own license for copyrighted work. So in essence, I said, well, I'm going to be streaming from Twitch and from ohmTown. And they're like, well, you're covered on Twitch, but the ohmTown site, you aren't covered there for anything that's recorded, and you're not covered on Twitch for anything that's recorded, and your license doesn't cover anything on Twitch. So if I went somewhere else, let's say Mixer still existed, if I go over to Mixer, I wouldn't be covered on Mixer, even though I'm the same person doing the same work, providing the same thing. I'm not covered on Mixer. And in fact, nothing would cover me anywhere other than ohmTown.com. Just wacky, archaic, archaic and arcane. It's like a deep dive into law. It's almost like it's intentionally unapproachable by normal human beings. You have to go deep dive into it. Otherwise, it's impossible to wrap your head around it. Because one false move and suddenly you run afoul of some policy or procedure. Like way back, like 20 years ago, I started when, what was it? I'm trying to remember the name of the service, but it allowed you to create your own radio stations. You had to keep track of how many users and how many songs were played, and you couldn't play too many songs of the same artist in a row. And you couldn't play on demand. So if somebody called you up while you were hosting your radio show, you couldn't immediately play a song. You couldn't interact with a human being and go, oh yeah, you really like, Never Gonna Give You Up. I'm sure, I'll let you troll the entire planet and play that song. Nope, you're not allowed to do that. It was all just one thing after another, and you're just peppered into going, that's fine. Why bother? And so if you were small time and you didn't have tons of advertising and you didn't have a large audience already, it was a real strain to ramp up. And so I guess you had to earn your bones before you could just accept these policies and procedures and all of the overhead that's associated with it. You're saying the issue is trying to automate that process. Well, yeah. You're only as good as the technology in that process, right? In that automation, you're only as good as the technology that you program. And so one wrong thing and you get a false positive. And then when you send an appeal, unless the person that views the appeal, and it has to be a person, views the appeal and then goes and does the due diligence, and then overthrows that infraction, you're done. And I'll give you a perfect example. I spun up a maker channel on YouTube, and we were just getting started. I have a laser and I have a CNC in my downstairs. I call it the lab, right? So, got a laser, got a CNC. I had cameras. I would interact with people. They would send me something to laser cut or something to CNC, and I would do it live, and because it would be a design, right? And I could just laser etch it right there, laser cut it right there, or CNC it. And we had just got it started and was working on the business aspects of it and starting to open our doors. But the key thing here was that we wanted the interaction. It wasn't just a business, right? It was, the objective was to build a community and interact with people. And this started just prior to the COVID, right? So 2019. And so it's so funny just to think about this. What ended up happening was our YouTube channel was summarily shut down. We were told that we were in violation of something. And it took 5 months for me peppering the appeal process, right? So I sent out an appeal request and it was denied. I sent out another one, it was denied. I sent another one out to somebody else and it was denied or ignored. And then I sent it out again, and we're coming up on 4 months, 5 months. And suddenly I get told, you should never have had that channel shut down. And I'm like, well, you know, when you start driving messaging and you start talking to people, right? That's what messaging is. You start driving messaging out to people. You start hyping it up on other places, trying to gain traction so that you can build a community and start interacting with people. And then suddenly it disappears. Not only does it look bad for the individual, but it kills that enterprise. It kills that opportunity. You no longer have the momentum, and you have to go on social media and basically explain what's going on. And without having any knowledge of when I was going to get it back, I basically just said, sorry, folks, forget it. You know, I can't do this. I can't build a community if there's no place for a community. And in one of my previous VODs, I say, if you have to rely on somebody else, if you have to rely on some other service, you're already in a state of single point of failure, right? And I'm not talking about like Twitch failing to stream my video. There's always going to be technical issues, right? But if my only option is Twitch and I violate something on Twitch, and in the case that I just described, it was YouTube. So I don't know about your interactions with YouTube, but they're 99% automated until you reach a certain level. And then when you reach a certain level, you have an account manager that you can interact with. I'm no such person, right? I am not the pinnacle of community on YouTube. So my voice was just screaming into a cave and nothing was coming back out. So my single point of failure failed. Luckily, Twitch seems to be very interactive, at least so far, with every streamer that I have spoken to. Twitch seems great, but then there's others that are like, well, Twitch is, you know, horrible or whatever. And I'm like, I don't see it. So it's been working fine. I haven't had any issues with it. But I am constantly worried about that single point of failure, because for whatever reason, and this happened to me way in the past too, 30 years ago, it happened to me. A single decision from a single decision maker abandoned a nationwide project that I had started in a 2-bedroom apartment. Because way back I was part of the startup community and very interested in that stuff, and I still am. Don't get me wrong, but the whole idea of relying on one place is frightening, and a lot of people don't really talk about it. They just accept it as that's the way it is. So plans within plans. If something happens, then I'm going to have to start streaming from my own site. But hopefully everybody likes the channel and the discussion, and goes over to the website and clicks around and lets me know if they like it or hate it or want something else. I've been hoping to be able to dedicate some time to get the Twitch integration on ohmTown so that you can log in as you on ohmTown, but it hasn't happened yet, hasn't materialized yet. So sorry. Like I said, I end up going down the rabbit hole and talking about various things, and I really appreciate the question. So thank you very much. And if there's any other questions, feel free to throw them in chat. So this site is always ingesting information, always ingesting articles from various places. And so technology, we're on the 6th. And so what I do is every other day, it's a set of 3, and it's doing this again. I'm going to have to investigate why it does this with certain banners. But when you click on one of the categories, you can see the groups that it is housing. And so Smack Talk is all about Apple, hence why Mac is capitalized in there. And Tablet Fan is about tablets, and so on and so forth. But down below, it'll have 50 of the combined groups ingested information. Now, that isn't all of it, not by any stretch, right? So if you go up here and then you click on the word in tech, let's say, it will have a big group of discussions on the first page. And then if you scroll down, you can see that there's 932 plus other pages of news that has been ingested over X amount of time. It really depends on how many sources have been parsed over the time that it's been operational. But it's been public since about mid last year or so, fully open to the public. And then on January 1st, I said, I'm going to integrate this all into a stream on Twitch, and people can talk with me about it. And eventually others will be brought on to the stream, and they'll go into that little box up there at the very top above the chat. And we can all chat about whatever it might be. But the 3 main categories for ohmTown is business, society, and tech. And that's all of this in here. Ta-da! So if there's anything that you find interesting, you can ask a question in chat, and I go through it and I might find something interesting. And just to reiterate, since I've been ranting for an hour, the objective here is to build community on ohmTown without losing the directive to go and read the actual article. This will take you to a little snippet of the article, and then you can click on visit the source, and that will take you to the article on the site where it was pulled from. And like I said, I don't take everything. I take a little snippet that they offer, and it's the source isn't even the full web page. It's what they provide to me. So this article is NPR's losing top talent. Everyone has a theory why. And it says 4 current and former employees discuss the exodus. Well, like any enterprise, talent comes and goes, and you can't fault somebody for their desire to leave. and there could be myriad reasons. It doesn't necessarily have to be this massive concern. It's just that there are people that are leaving. It says many other NPR employees across various roles, including some of color, have left recently too. These are just names that came up in the course of my reporting. And so this article is by Ashley Carmen. The story originally appeared in Hot Pod Insider, The Verge's subscription audio industry newsletter, which if you go to the article, you'll be able to subscribe to it. hotpodnews.com/subscribe. I'm not affiliated with them. This isn't an ad or anything. This is just me reading their article. And like I say in all of my VODs, I don't plan anything. I see something while I'm sitting here going through the news that I would normally ingest in private, and I talk with people about it. And if you are one of those people, thanks for visiting. I will probably end this at 7, unless someone comes in and has a quick chat with me about something, at which point I'll stay until 7:30 if you are interested. And maybe even longer. I mean, it really depends on the discussion. I tend to riff off of the audience, and look forward to people coming into chat. Check something real quick. Okay. There's been an email bidding farewell to somebody every week, is what one source said. So yeah, I mean, they state so clearly the turnover is real and everyone is scrambling to chalk it up to a specific reason, including myself, the Twitter universe, and even Reddit. There's myriad reason, particularly when you have a large organization. The organization I'm in, people are leaving. A lot has to do with COVID and changing times, and people wanting to spend more time with their family, and they're at the age where they are secure enough that they can retire, or they can take on a different role somewhere else that they aren't as stressed by, or they want the stress and they move to a more challenging position elsewhere. There's so many reasons. And when people are leaving an organization and it's quiet, that's probably a good thing, because when people start talking about it, there's probably an underlying rationale as to why, and that rationale could be something that needs to be exposed. But you know, I don't think that there's any one thing. Otherwise, it would be much more apparent. It wouldn't be a bunch of people talking across various platforms trying to figure out what it is. Well, her departure. So, Audie Cornish announced she's leaving the program after nearly a decade as its host. Well, a decade, that's quite a long time to be doing the same thing. Her departure, which she says on Twitter, is her joining many others in the Great Resignation, marks 3 hosts of color to leave the network in recent months. Well, that's a shame. You know, is there something there? You know, it would be more overt, I'd say, particularly if somebody is leaving an organization and there's bad blood or some negative emotion there. It would probably come out in a discussion, particularly nowadays. I mean, people aren't typically shy of putting somebody on notice. And if there is an issue, particularly around race, then shine that light. Let people know that something is happening. As I said I always reference previous VODs because I seem to want to remind people that abuse happens in the dark. So shine a light and shine it bright and let people know that there's something going on. You really do have strength in your voice, because if you say it quietly and it gets suppressed, that's it. It's done. You know, a powerful organization can silence a quiet voice, but it makes it very hard when it's a loud voice. So you do you, I guess. That's what the young people say, right? No, I don't think anybody really says that. Maybe they do. I don't know. But it's true in spirit. Yeah, let people know if somebody's being abused or abusing you. Gene discovered crucial to making crop plants produce clonal seeds. A lot of things are genetically modified, and a lot of people worry about it. I've been told that we've done so much genetic modification and so many iterations of genetic modifications that it would be impossible to hide some genetic problem, particularly in plants and animals now as well. I mean, it's been like this for years, but the genes are not being damaged apparently in these genetically modified strains, because something would have manifested. But yeah, I don't know what the implication is on humans. But I haven't grown a tail yet, and I said in a previous VOD that I would love to have a tail, because it allows you to jump further and balance better, and I think it would be neat. You know, some people twirl their hair. I could sit there and flick my tail around when I'm angry, or wag it when I'm happy. Man, maybe that would be a really bad poker tell. Maybe I don't want a tail. A telltale. Anyway, I better move on. So, how to test the limits of quantum mechanics? I don't know, probably understanding them first. That would probably be a fundamental aspect of testing the limits of quantum mechanics. I feel like we're still trying to figure out quantum mechanics. But I am by far not the smartest man in this room. So if somebody comes up with a way to test quantum mechanics, awesome. Go read that article. It's over on phys.org. And it's a discussion with quantum mechanics, quantum physics. Researchers from Imperial College London and Lancaster University have suggested a new approach that tests the limits of applicability of quantum mechanics. Just recently, somebody created a warp bubble. Yeah, a warp bubble. And apparently there's a really tiny Enterprise or Starship Discovery in there. And it's just kind of flying around in a microscopic warp bubble. You have to look really hard to see it, but apparently it's there. Please don't believe that. That's not true. But it's a neat concept to think about, and it's a neat area of science. I was speaking earlier about Tanami. Tanami.tv allows you to do a watch party, but you connect your stuff to the watch party so that it streams from your account on the service, and there's just a host that links it all together, but you're not streaming to other people from your service. So apparently that does not violate the AMCA. I wish them luck. I'll be watching them. Pun not intended, but oh, this is interesting. I have been talking about this since they first announced the VW microbus. Now they set a date, and just the other day I was talking about on my stream, I was talking about the canoe. If you've never heard of the canoe, go look up the canoe. I might be pronouncing it incorrectly, but CANOO, I believe it is an all-electric bus-like vehicle that is just chock-a-block with utility. There's little cubbies and doors and stuff. I mean, this thing, if it were to catch a cold and sneeze, I think it would probably just open up every door and nook and cranny, and it would just look like a VW bus size porcupine of things sticking out of it. Not really that bad, but I'm being hyperbolic, and it looks like a neat vehicle. I hope it has better mileage than any other electric vehicle, but we'll see when it hits production. But this is Volkswagen is saying nearly 5 years after it first revealed its ID Buzz, I don't remember it being called Buzz, concept at the Detroit Auto Show, Volkswagen is finally ready to show off a production-ready version. Let's click the link. It's over on The Verge. This was the concept vehicle. And I'm hoping, it says watch on Twitter. Let me see if it's going to be loud. I'm going to mute it. So it's supposed to be an all-electric microbus, similar to how the VW bus was in the past, but sort of an homage to it, not a one-for-one copy, just with an electric sled underneath it. So if it is, it's planning on launching in Germany in 2025. Well, I know people in Germany. Maybe I can get it and have it brought over. And if things stay the same, I could order it today, and I'll probably get it in 2030, and that'll make me, maybe it can be used as my coffin by the time it gets to me. Anyway, this is a great little vehicle as well. I love the styling. The concept vehicle actually was a drivable thing. A couple of people drove it around. I think it was in New York. It might have been in San Francisco, but or no, maybe it might have been California, down in San Diego or Orange County, because I thought they drove it over by the beach. Anyway, if you look it up, the VW microbus, you'll see modern articles about this concept vehicle. I thought it looks great. I want one, and I'm going to get the canoe if I don't get the VW microbus. But we shall see, right? Because times change, and the canoe has not notified me of my order being processed. So astronomers witness a dying star reach its explosive end. That looks neat. We've seen similar things before, I believe, but it says for the very first time, astronomers have imaged in real time the dramatic end of a red supergiant's life. I think it's the context for the first is supergiant's life, because I thought that we have seen a star access virtual reality. I wanted to access my VR headset. It's weird, considering it's not connected. Very weird. Anyway, so 2 Hawaii telescopes were apparently focused on this red supergiant. I love this. Transient survey observed the red supergiant during its last 130 days leading up to its deadly detonation. I love the fact that they call it a transient survey. It just seems so Star Trek-y, which is apropos considering it's a star. And, well, it's a trek. Anyway, so it imploding, that seems pretty neat. And this is an artist's rendition of it. If you go over to phys.org after following that link on ohmTown's article, the title is the same as the phys.ed article name. Astronomers witness a dying star reach its explosive end. If you click the visit the source link, it'll take you over to phys.org, and you can read the article, come back, vote it up, vote it down, make a comment, come and chat with me about it. And tomorrow when I do another stream, if there is something that you have found on the site and you want to talk about it, you can throw it into chat and we can go over and look at it and have a real-time discussion about something. And become a member of ohmTown. Our motto is your home. ohmTown. Okay, so I think it's coming up on 7:15 here for me. And I've rambled on for an hour and didn't go through too much news, but said a lot. So I hope you enjoyed it, and stop by tomorrow. I should be here at before 6 so that I can start at 6, and I'll go until 7:30 or 8. Really depends. And then on the weekends, I'll be doing the same thing. I look forward to hearing from you, seeing you in chat. And if you want to follow me, I'm looking at my stats. We just started in January. So every day I will be doing at least an hour. And I look forward to seeing you. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.